What is mindfulness meditation? Let's talk a little about meditation. At this center, we practice Satipatthana or mindfulness meditation on the four foundations of mindfulness: body, feeling, mind, and Dharma. However, before we begin, we need some clarity on what we are doing and why we are doing it. It is important to begin this practice like we should begin any major project with an understanding of the idea and underlying principle behind what we will be doing. We need the right background information from right idea regarding the nature of mindfulness meditation so that we can practice skillfully. We don't want to start blindly. So, what is mindfulness meditation? What is our purpose in practicing? What kind of mind and what kind of attitude should there be when we are meditating? How do we practice? To me, mindfulness meditation is basically working to transform the mind. Meditation is about cultivating wholesome state of mind, nurturing a Dhamma mind, and bring out a good quality in the mind. Mindfulness meditation is no work done by the body, work done by object. What is happening, what is being observed, explained further in the session. What are objects? Do you know that you had a mind? How do you know that you had a mind? You can see or observe the mind thought is working, punching. For example, knowing, thinking, experiencing, feeling, wanting, focusing, etc. Now, put your hand together and look at your clasped hand. You know that your hands are touching, right? Do you know how do you know this touching sensation? What is the mind doing that you are able to know this? You know, because the mind is aware and paying attention to it. Now, do you know that the mind is paying attention and aware? Would you know that your hand were touching if your mind were thinking about something? No. So you can see that it is not merely because your hands are touching that you know about, because the mind is paying attention and awareness is a quality. That is a part of this attention that you know they are touching. Can you shift your attention from your pen to your feet? You can, right? This shift in attention is actually the mind at work. It is a mind paying attention. If you know what you are paying attention, when you are aware of the mind, there is no need to go searching for the mind. As everyone more or less know about it, knowing, thinking, planning, and intention are all working on the mind. It's just not as easier for us to recognize the mind, as is its other objects, because of the lack of understanding of what the mind is. What kind of effort do we need? What kind of effort do we need when we are meditating? Right now, many people know only one type of effort, which is energetic, forcing effort. Whatever, it is wrong effort. When it is motivated by defilement like craving, lobha, aversion, dosa, delusion, moha. This kind of effort will only feed more defilement in the process. How then do we meditate? We use the whole effort and right effort of practice and observant in our practice. Awareness, vijnana, sati, need to be balanced, competent in oneself and face in the practice. Should be balanced, effort or energy should also be balanced. These spiritual faculty along with stability of mind, concentration, samadhi, and wisdom, panya. Because the five spiritual faculty, indriya, working together in meditation. So see, in Pali word, virya, no? Sati, samadhi, virya, panya, indriya. We can't say we are practicing inside meditation. When we are just focused on paying attention, because vipassana is practice on learning about mind and body process. Okay? Vipassana is the practice of learning about mind and body process. Who is meditating? You are not meditating. It is the idea operation in the background, in the mind, that are meditating. If the underlying ideas are wrong, then the rest of the meditation will be done in the wrong way. Only with the right idea, right attitude, and right understanding in the meditation mind. The mind that aware, or the observing mind. Do you have right practice? The information in the book, Dhamma discussion, Dhamma discourse, a reminder, are all meant to give it right information. We then use this information, what we have learned, heard, and know about right practice, as well as our intelligence during the practice, a type of wisdom, in order of wisdom to practice, to develop. We need right view, samadhi, and right thinking. We also need inquiry and Dhamma investigation, which is the investigation of phenomena and reflection on how we are observing or practicing. When we are practicing, the emphasis is on the need for wisdom, along with the awareness, also referred to as awareness in this book. So the wisdom acquired through direct experience has a chance to arise. The meditating mind, the mind thus aware, or the observing mind need to be a Dhamma mind, a wholesome mind. We have right meditation only when we practice with the whole mind. We can say we are meditating properly. When we are practicing the wish craving aversion delusion, lobha, dosa, moha, operating in the meditation mind. A part of the work in meditation is to begin to recognize unwholesome tendency when they arise. We can help up in this motivation while trying to meditate. We can recognize when they are wrong or unwholesome tendency, and then when they are right or wholesome tendency, and their corresponding effect. This means learning what is the wholesome and what is unwholesome. To do this, we use the theoretical information we get as well as our intelligence and wisdom while practicing to recognize when there are defilements in the mind. We also need to practice this process of learning. What are objects? We often use the word object. What is the meaning of an object? An object is what we experience, what we observe, and something what is known by the mind. There is always something happening, so there is no lacking of things to observe. They are all happening according to their nature. In mindfulness meditation, we are not controlling our experience. We observe when something happens or when something arises, the mind attention is attracted to it. And so we observe it. The nature of an object is to be known, sense or experienced by the mind. How many sendos are there? There are 6 sendos. Say sense door. Now we observe the system objects in the mind at work. Why we need an understanding of the object side. We also need to recognize that meditation is not done by objects. Meditation is not done by object. Meditation is done by the mind. That's why in order to practice well, it's important to understand the mind, including how it observes, how it works, and its underlying attitude. What kind of mind are we meditating with? When we are focusing on object, we can see the working of the mind. When we look through the glasses, we are wearing at what we want to see. We may not realize that we have glass on. Likewise, if there's too much focusing on object, we no longer see the mind. What it is doing, how it's operating. If we can concentrate so much on an object, we may at least realize
Power off.
that we were wearing glasses. That's how the mind works. That's why I teaching you not to focus. If your goal is to get a complete picture and to understand the nature of the mind, an object. You understand? Why I'm choosing you not to focus. If your goal is to get a complete picture and to understand the nature of mind and object, you understand? When you practice the difference between what you observe and how you are observing, the act of observing will become even clear. In other words, this knowledge of the object and the mind will become clear. You recognize for yourselves. This is object. Oh, this is object. This is the mind. And that their nature are different. You will see this as you are practicing. I am explaining this to so that you have the information to help you when you are meditating. Think about it carefully. You are practicing mindfulness meditation when you sit and focus on the object. It is mindfulness meditation when you are just paying attention to something. No, that's just focusing on an object. What is you are just being aware? What is the meditation mind is pure and wholesome mental quality. Let's say you are knowing, watching, and being aware. What is object? Mind or body? And what is mind? In other words, what is being observed? And what is doing the observing? Shouldn't you investigating it? Can this kind of investigation quality arise in your yogi who is just intent on observe objects? You can can a yogi who just content with faithful mental state get insight into the nature of the mind and the body? No. The yogi me who just content with faithful mental state get insight into the nature of mind and body. The yogi will just clinging to the faithful state, working to stay longer in that state. There is no possibility for wisdom to arise then. We do this by first noticing or acknowledging how the mind is already observing. Is it agitated or calm? And is there some kind of wisdom present? You don't need to try to change how the mind is observing. You do want to take note of how it is observing the corresponding effects of observing in that way. Over time, you will note different cause and effect. See, over time, you will notice different cause and effect. When you have repeatedly observed and seen different scenarios, you will begin to better understand the relationship of how the state of mind and the thoughts in the mind affect the way you feel about the object what you are observing. So start with any object. Start with any object. Start with an awareness of any object. As you maintain awareness, keep shaping the mind. What is the mind aware of? One is aware. It is a mind to easy or not. It is relaxed. What is the attitude in the mind? Keep checking. Be mindful that you are not just intent on object. Why? Being mindful is walking. Keep checking the mind to see whether it is impatient or relaxed. Is that hard to know? Is that hard to know? No. You just have to keep checking the mind, right? It is so hard to be aware of the mind. Is it so hard to be aware of the mind? At this point, it's fine to be aware of more important mental state and working on the mind. Don't go looking for anything subject just yet. How is the mind? Is it feeling as peace or is it tense? Is it trying? Can you know? Sorry, you can know. Can you? Observe the mind. What is happening? Here are something you might want to know. Where, what kind of mind are you being aware? What kind of mind are you being aware? How does the mind feel when you are aware of this object? Trying to observe mind-object relationship like this. It is important to have an awareness of these kinds of causal relationship. Intention in practice. Use any object to develop awareness. Which is better? Watching the breeze or watching the abandonment? Neither is better than or other. See which is the better. Watching the breeze, or watching the abandonment. Neither is better than or other. Note, they are the same. You should not prefer one over the other. If you do, if you attach to an object, the object at the neutral in an object. Neutral in an object. Neutral is an object. The object at the abandonment is also an object. Sun is an object. Heat is also an object. Cool is also an object. In Vipassana, the eye are one sense door, and the ears are another sense door. Can you become aware with any object? Can you stir with sound? You have to go looking for sound, and they always there. You can know that there is sound. Take whatever object is available. There is no need to look for every subtle object. No need to look for very subtle object. A yogi. So you, with awareness and wisdom, will see, will use any object to develop sati, samadhi, panya, instead of growing in craving, aversion, or delusion. The mind will grow in strength as you practice with ease and consistent awareness. Remember, the object is not important. The observing mind with the right attitude is more important. So, remember, the key point is the object is not important. The observing mind with the right attitude is more important. The mind has to be alert and interest. Dhamma practice is mind work, which means the mind has to have awareness. It is also had to be alert and interested in studying itself. But because of our habitual tendency to pay more attention to what is happening out there, we very often forget to check ourselves. That is why we have to keep asking and remembering ourselves in order to maintain awareness. Momentum comes from practicing moment to moment. We want the kind of mindfulness that keep going without a break, so that we eventually have a natural moment of awareness. Using a simile, we don't want the types of fire that burn in a flash. We want to allow listen their freedom, durable material like wood or coal. Kyle. What is a good time for meditation? Many yogis have this idea that their meditation begins when they hear the bell, when they were start. That is not so. So, the alarm is there only to remind you. The right time to practice is from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night. When you wake up in the morning, check yourself in the mind clear, do this feet refresh. Is it still sleepy? You wake up, but you want to continue sleeping. Is that difficult to know? Can't you know all these easily? Yeah, sure. You just have to ask yourself. You are practicing to know the mind and body. Let whatever happen, it is not important. The mind work is to know and to acknowledge. Be noted. The mind work is to know and to acknowledge, which can happen in any postures or activity. Sitting on the cushion does not necessarily mean you are practicing. Some person, some yogi, sit and fall asleep while others sit and daydream away. Is it considered meditating? Consider meditating. We had a very often use a lot of wrong effort to get what we wanted, or tend to exert a lot of energy to get rid of something. We've also do things blindly when we weren't sure what to do. With this practice, you just wait and watch with intelligence. No? See, in this practice, you just wait and watch with intelligence. What you can, what can you know naturally while you are sitting? You are not focusing. You are not looking at any special object. You are aware, and now you are observe yourself. Ask me question. Let me ask question. Are you aware that you are seated? What is happening in your body? What can you know naturally? Expanding abandonment, contracting abandonment, heat, sound. Are you aware of your palm touching and your arm tired? So the S5 question. Are you aware of that you are seated? What is happening in your body? What can you know naturally? Are you aware of your palm touching and your arm tired? How much effort do you need to know seeing, hearing, heat, cool, touching, or shyness? Do you need for focus to know any of these? Is that trying or difficult? Tiring or difficult? See how easy observing is. Would it be trying to practice? Difficult to difficult? Difficult to practice like this all day, like the whole day. Ask yourself if you are aware and then begin the sitting or walking meditation. It is the nature of the mind to naturally take the object is one and we know as much as it is able to know. Keep checking when you are sitting, walking, eating, or doing daily activity. The mind can know that it wants. Can it? Knowing naturally is easier on you. See, this knowing naturally is easier on you. Trying to find the object you won't require in your energy. Awareness alone is not enough. So far, we have talked about awareness and waiting and watching with intelligence. Where is that waiting going to come from? Where is that wisdom going to come from? There are three kinds of wisdom. Suttamaya Pinya, Chintamaya Pinya, Bhavanamaya Pinya. Suttamaya means information you get from reading, from listening to Dhamma discourse, or from discuss with teacher. That is me, Suttamaya Panya. See, Chintamaya Pinya. That is me, intelligence or knowledge. Acquires through thinking, reasoning, and intellectual analysis. That we can call Chintamaya Pinya. Bhavanamaya Pinya is insight or wisdom gained through direct experience. In short, We refer to them as information, intelligence, and insight. See, information, intelligence, and insight in this word. We may refer to any of these as wisdom, or be more specific at times by using the word information, intelligence, or insight. Are you able to work on a certain subject matter? If you don't know anything about it, you can perform only with the right information. So, how do you get right practice? Before you begin to practice, you need to have some accurate and complete information so that when you are practicing, wisdom in the form of information and intelligence are present with the awareness. You need right information and right attitude as wisdom for right practice. The Buddha called it mindfulness and a clear comprehension. Sati Sambhajana, Sambhajana, Sambhajanya. By having the right information on meditation, you won't turn it into problem using the wrong information. This information comes from listening to get Dhamma knowledge, asking for clarification, and having Dhamma discussion. I will give you information and as somebody. In Buddhism, we use yogi. Some yogi, you use this information to your own intelligence when you are practicing. See, you use this information and your own intelligence when you are practicing. You apply these two kinds of wisdom, information and intelligence, to the practice of meditation. Inside wisdom arises when the right kind of condition come together. Thinking will predict. So you should think or not thinking while practicing. So you should think or not while practicing. You should be watchful of the kind of thoughts that will increase craving, aversion, delusion, lova, dosa, moha. When people say they shouldn't be thinking, they are referring to defilement, motivated thinking. Of course, you can have thought that just arise naturally, but you don't have these defilement motivated thought to grow even more. You don't stop all sort of thinking. You should think about the Dhamma you have heard, information you have read here, and reflect on the work you are doing and consider how you are practicing. This kind of thinking will help you wisdom grow. This information I'm giving you now will be working in the mind when you are practicing and you use the theory along with your own intelligence to work skillfully with the situation at hand. Utilizing the good quality of the mind, for example, sati, viriya, panya, and applying the intelligence is the work of mindfulness meditation. Question. There is the object and there is the version observing mind, which is more important. Some people are us. There is the object and there is the version of observing mind, which is the more important. The, the teacher, the guide, answer. The version of observing mind is more important. You need to pay attention to the observing mind if you want to understand the truth. Regularly check on how you are practicing. Can wisdom arise in the present or craving, aversion or delusion? In the aversion mind, what attitude is the mind practicing with? Check your attitude regularly. Don't be passive on practice. They will include according to their nature and they only serve to keep the awareness. A wise person use the six sense objects to develop awareness, stability of mind, and wisdom. For those who are not so nature, the same object will only increase craving, aversion, and delusion. Which object is better? The incoming outgoing breeze at the nostril or the horizon falling motion or the impediment? Which is the better? It's neither one object is no better than another. It neither one object is no better than another. An object is just an object. If you receive one object to be better than another object, you will naturally become attracted to perfect object. Later, then you can pay attention to that specific object. Then you may find that you are not able to practice. Craving or surely arise from choosing one object more another. Aversion comes one and when you don't find the object of your choice. Believing that an object is good is really delusion at work. So it is your responsibility to develop the object or the faculty of awareness in the meditation. Objects will always present themselves according to their nature. Your work is to develop awareness. You are not trying to change anything. That is happening about working to strengthen and improve the mind is not yet strong in awareness. Right now, there's a little stability of mind. Wisdom is weak, effort, feeble, and faith lagging. Meditation is the work of cultivating and strengthening the spiritual faculty of sati, samadhi, viriya, saddha, panya. Sati, samadhi, viriya, saddha, panya. Knowing whatever is happening, underlying that something is not beneficial is very different from thinking or judging that something is not good. If the mind labeled to something as good, there is craving already. With any object that's right, delusion is already on the sense. Delusion conceals an object, natural characteristic, and labeled it as good or bad, lover or docile, then do their work or grasping or rejecting. So, how are we going to meditate? Meditation is recognizing all growth and separate from all craving, aversion, and delusion. And all their related deaths are present in the mind while it is observing object. In this meditation, we practice to know whatever is happening instead of trying to take the mind still. We just acknowledge and observe the agitation with the right attitude. Because we want to learn about the nature of the mind and object, we don't try to calm the mind down to try to remove object. We don't interfere to control but observe, because we want to understand the mind and object in their natural state. And they are happening, this is right view. Such as we also don't try to remove aversion when it arises. We are not trying to get rid of aversion. As soon as we try to push aversion away, there is more aversion. Aversion is always negative, having the quality of pushing something away. We are observing aversion because we want to know its true nature. It is what it means to meditate. Study everything that happens. If our goal is to have understanding, we need to know, we need to get to know the nature as many objects as possible, how the mind and the body process work, and the cause or effect relationship. Merely knowing one escape from an experience will not lead to any insight. The data is still incomplete and wisdom is still weak. It is important to study everything that happening to be able to know all objects. So we work with any object that arises. There is no need to create any experience or to keep our attention on one particular object. We need to use our wisdom along with awareness to learn about whatever is happening in the moment. Only then our view broaden, our horizon expand, our wisdom develop. We need a lot of information for this to happen. Watch out for craving that can arise subtle in the form of attachment. Subtle in the form of attachment for aversion to object. Take a step back to observe, using the investigating mind with the right attitude working in the background. Ask yourself these questions. What is happening? Is what is happening good or not? Good or bad? It is really good or bad? It is right or wrong? Why it is happening? Because you want to understand what is happening. You observe and investigate with intelligence. The inclination to know is already there in the mind. The observing mind with the right attitude can investigate the faculty need to be present. So you now understand a little more about the difference between focusing, basu, waiting, watching, and observing with wisdom. 5. Spiritual faculty. Indriya, awareness, steadiness, and stability of the mind, samadhi, concentration, are for true wisdom, energy, warrior, and faith and competence, sattva, and wisdom, panya, are 5 spiritual faculties that work together in the process of meditation. Mindfulness meditation is the work of cultivation, growing these spiritual faculties to know in the balance. Study me not to forget. Study me not to forget. Study me to remember. What don't you forget? You don't forget what is right and wholesome. This also means not forgetting the right attitude and right object. To be aware doesn't mean we create awareness out of what was absent before. Study is about not forgetting. Study is not energetic forgetting. The right object for view is experience of the mind and the body. There is only the nature of the mind and the nature of the body. That's all there is. If you don't forget, you have awareness. If you don't know what is going on, you also have awareness. So what you know do to have awareness. The most people thinking they had to rein awareness but to some object with the idea. Oh, my awareness is gone. I must have awareness again. That's training way to practice. I will give you similar more relaxed way. Remind yourself when you are trying to get awareness. You may be focusing on object. The mind is already thinking around thought. Now it is trying to be aware of an object. That's require focus and energy. When you remind yourself, the mind thinks about the mind, and the body and awareness is automatically there. If you don't believe me, just ask yourself what is happening in the mind right now. You'll notice something what is happening in the mind right now. It is faithful, agitated, upset. What is happening? You'll see that you can tell what is happening in the mind, even if only roughly. You notice that if you think about the mind, the awareness turns toward the mind. That's what it means to be awareness. Turning the mind inward. The mind is used to be aware of external phenomena. We are always paying attention to that is happening internally and especially through the eye sensor door. Mindfulness meditation is time to turn the mind inward. So, how does the mind turn inward? If you just think about turning the mind into what is happening at the sixth sense door, the mind is already paying attention internally. It is the nature of the mind to take an object that it think about. Doesn't the mind go directly to your hand if you think about what is happening at your hand? If you are, what is happening on my hand? The mind immediately asks your heart. How much focusing do you need for that? Another way to turn the mind inward is to notice that the mind is paying attention to internally object. Then let the mind step back to think about what is happening in the mind and body. The mind attention will be at the mind and body. The body is easier to notice at first because it's more important, but with practice, the mind will also become easy to observe. I paid more attention to the working or observing mind.